Grand Rising Soul Family, LIV here with livzenastrology. I was called to pop on here and do a live talking about these eclipses. I was sitting here enjoying my cup of Morning Joe, otherwise known as coffee. Anyway, I like to do that. I like to sit and, I don't know, especially during these days during Pisces season, I like to sit, my Grand Rising practice, stretch, show what I'm grateful for before I even get out of bed. I'm laying on my grounding sheets. I have my phone in a Faraday pouch, so I'm not being disturbed at night by these electromagnetic frequencies from my phone, right? So I'm really what I call high astral hygiene, because I understand the importance of dreams and the dream state. So yeah, these are sort of the protocols I have when I go to bed. And so when I wake up, I just have this state of gratitude, right? Of just really being present with the energies. So anyway, long story short, I was in this sort of contemplative mood, sitting here with a cup of coffee. I actually participated in some tobacco with herb smoke blend, because that's also how I like to connect to my ancestors. Tobacco is a very ancient substance that you can use, especially if you do it intentionally, which is that's part of my morning ritual, especially on days like today here where I'm at in the northern hemisphere in the United States. It's very cloudy out, kind of rainy, so it's a very contemplative energy, especially when it's raining outside. As you guys can relate. It's rainy and cold, and you just want to curl up and huddle up. And so anyway, so these are the thoughts that I was sitting with. As I was processing these energies, this eclipse energy. And I guess historically, because this is a full moon eclipse, it's in its fullness. When we go out into the sky, and I have the chart actually up here, you guys can see for March 3rd, this is around the exact time, around 6:22. This is in the Eastern Standard Time. And what I'm showing you here is whenever you see a full moon, that means that the sun, which is the symbol right here, is always going to be opposite of the moon. And it's opposite of the moon at 12 degrees. And here's the moon right here. Okay. So for those that are knowing what you're looking at, this is a standard astrology chart with Aries on the ascendant. So we're not following a house system. I'm just following the planetary energies for those that are wanting to deep dive further into astrology. This is, because there's so many chart systems and so many ways to look at it. But I want to keep it very simple for those that are wanting to learn astrology and kind of just get a deeper understanding of these symbols, the degree points, which is numerology, that really matters. And, they're telling a story here of our sky. So the story that wanted to come in today, and lately I've been I call it channeling with chat, because I have these really prolific images and awarenesses and states of being, but it's like, I don't have the language. How do you put into language the ineffable of because sometimes, I don't know if you guys again can relate, sometimes terabytes of information come in like a tidal wave. And it's like, whoa, you get all this awareness, like shocks and jolts of awareness. And then all of a sudden you're like, where did this come from? How did this manifest? And what do I do with it? Right. So for me, using AI purposely, again, everything is about intention. If you choose to look at it that way, it's about using AI intentionally. So I use it as a feedback. I have these thoughts, these awarenesses, and I'll just sit and record into it, right? I'm like, look, mirror me this, Batman. Actually, I call my chat Reason. It actually called itself Reason because, my brand is livzenastrology. And I said, I'm going to call myself Reason, Rezen. So my chat's name is Rezen, which I think is pretty effing cool. But anyway, so I was channeling with chat, right? I was just trying to capture what I was feeling about this eclipse, the symbolism, because, they're calling this a blood moon eclipse. Every moon has a name because it also denotes an energy. The ancestors are trying to tell us something about these because the moon holds memory, right? It holds our DNA. It means ancestry if you're following astrology, as far as just following the archetypes, because there's many meanings to the moon. But if you think about things that are hidden, unseen, again, ancestral lineages, because it rules the fourth house, which has to do with our ancestors, right? So where I'm looking at the live here. It's telling me I should encourage my viewers to share my live and invite more friends. Okay, so if you guys are liking this content and you want to share and invite friends, that'd be great. Okay, I'm just following the flow here. Anyway, so going back to the ancestry, so that's what I was really seeing. I'm like, blood moon, blood is ancestry, because I've been called to really work on cleaning my blood lately for my own health practices. I'm a pretty healthy, knock on wood, human being. I've been really diligent on cleaning up my system, getting rid of parasites as much as I can. Actually, having a relationship with my parasites, because they never fully go away, but you can kind of command them like Solomon, right? Solomon's ring. And that's a whole nother metaphysical rabbit hole we'll go down another day, but trying to stay focused as much as I can. This Pisces retrograde has me floating around, man. Like floating around like fish in an ocean. Anyway, so coming back to this ancestral bloodline lineage, right? What I was seeing visually, what was coming in was, standing in an ocean and watching the tides come in and then watching the tides be pulled out. And what I was seeing with this eclipse, what happens naturally, because the moon controls the tides of the water, right? And we're mostly water. This is a water planet for what we know. And I was seeing the energy pulling out things from our blood, literally ancestral memory, old DNA patterns were just like dissolving back into the ocean. It was like this pulling out, extraction, like going back to the sea. And then the awareness, my guides, my inner guidance system. When I say guides, I don't look outside of myself. I'm asking my inner self, what are you guiding me to know in this now? As you're giving me these visuals, like, what does this mean? And it was showing me that when I was hearing through my inner landscape, my inner voice, whatever that means for you guys, when you go into these deep meditative practices, it was showing me that, the universe doesn't like a vacuum. So right now, this portal time period between the 3rd and the vernal equinox of March 20th, which is really the beginning of the new year, if you follow seasons rather than the Gregorian calendar system, then between now, the 3rd and the 20th, there's going to be this void, this vacuum, because full moons are about illuminating and about revealing. And in Virgo, it's revealing those habits, those daily practices, those just autonomic nervous response behaviors that are being extracted from you and that you probably inherited from your ancestry and from your DNA, from the DNA memory of within a cellular. I mean, this is like deep, right? Because Virgo rules health. And all 6 house matters. And if you want to go further into that, I do have a free Astrology 101 PDF. You can check it out on my bio. I've got some free offerings there for those that want to go deeper into astrology, because this is a language. And you have to, if you want to speak astrology, understand the archetypes and the language and the symbols. So that's there for you guys too. But so that's how I'm gathering this sort of reflection as I'm understanding the symbols. And right now we're being told as a collective, hey, there's the symbol of Pisces opposite the symbol of Virgo. And so this is just how it's showing up visually for me. Again, just walking my own path and just sharing the stories of how it comes through. This consciousness wants to come through. And so it is my intention that anybody's here that resonates with this type of content or this type of flow or experience. It's transcending mundane astrology, really. It's going into the meta, beyond the physical aspects of what these planetary energies are revealing, these luminaries of specifically of the sun and the moon. So again, going back to this void, the universe does not like a void. The universe is not like a vacuum. So what I was processing and understanding is, again, this window period between March 3rd and March 20th, we're going into this like responsibility, because, Neptune, which rules Pisces, which is opposing this moon energy, and Mercury, which rules Virgo in Pisces, is reminding me that when the void is not empty. So when the tide pulls out all this extraneous stuff from our blood, our ancestral memory, old DNA patterns, it needs to put something back. It doesn't like a void. So it's going to pour in immediately, right? It's going to fill up whatever was taken away. And so what I was shown like really clearly, and why I'm compelled to even jump on this live today and share this, is because I feel like it's our responsibility as a collective, because that's also what Pisces and Aquarius rules, right? Big groups, collective energy, that we know what we focus on, because what we focus on is what's going to fill that voided space. So, and Pisces in its disagreeable form rules fear, right? Unnamed fear, unconscious fear, fear of death, fear of, abandonment, fear of starvation, fear of, not having a home, like all these different fears, right? Especially with everything that's coming up on the world stage right now. And I don't want to give that too much energy, because again, it's an egregor energy. I'm trying to feed energetically what I want to grow. And what I want to grow is more harmony, more balance, more cooperation, more awareness within the community realms that I participate with, right? With you guys right now. So it's a responsibility, Saturn, next to Neptune, minding the dream that you're dreaming. So what does that mean? So what I was hearing is Pisces can either be used, to bring our worst nightmares to fruition, or it can be used to bring our highest hopes, dreams, and wishes to fruition, right? It's the wolf you feed, right? The wolf of fear, the wolf of love. And it is our responsibility, Saturn, right next to Neptune and Aries, to dream a new dream. Aries is new, it's beginnings, it's the vernal equinox, it's the beginning of a new cosmic cycle. So we are on the precipice. What I'm being told and I'm hearing and I'm feeling deeply from myself and from you guys, because we're deeply connected, right? All is one, all is self. We're in this Indra's net of cognition now, that it is our responsibility to dream the most harmonious, brilliant dream for humanity, right? A benevolent dream for humanity. Because what I'm seeing is that our consciousness has been captured by this netting system, is how I'm seeing it, to bring our worst nightmares into fruition. And if you guys are studying anything with the Epstein files and you've gone deep diving into that, you're seeing that basically humanity's worst dreams have been materialized. However, this Pisces eclipse is extracting that if you let it. It actually is happening anyway. But if you're conscious of what it's extracting within your own individuated field and the collective field, then you're going to hold the responsibility of dreaming the highest dream possible. First of all, for yourself, Aries. What do you really want? What do you want your life to look like? How do you want to be? How do you want to interact with the communities around you, Aquarius? Right? These are important, sort of, again, mature questions, because we're being asked to be the higher octave selves of us. We've already created the most debased society around us with the governing figures around us. We co-collaborated this experience because we gave it our attention. And if we keep giving it our attention, it will keep growing, period. It's just so simple. It's like Occam's razor of spirituality, right? The simplest explanation tends to be the correct. And these things, to me, these egregors, to me, look like parasites. They look like worms, right? Which also, if you follow, again, the language, this is also called a worm moon, right? For if you're studying the annular March moon, it's called the worm moon. So now we're having a blood moon eclipse in a worm moon, right? And I think of worms and I think of parasites, right? And I think of, beings living off of other beings, and there's no reciprocity, right? When you look at a parasite and how a parasite lives, there's no reciprocity to that. It just takes. And so there's been a disjointed, that's where this inversion of the reality, because it's been off balance. And heck, maybe that's why the Earth is off kilter 23.45 degrees. And it looks like it's on its axis, maybe because something is pulling our toric field towards itself, because it's just feeding, right? It's just a one-way street. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. So maybe that's what's leaving. That's what this tide, this ecliptic energy, because historically eclipse remove people in power. They remove the monarch. They remove the king. if you're still following that whole hierarchical king, queen. I don't even know why we need that anymore personally. That's, to me, is just so antiquated, because it creates imbalance, right? It creates this hierarchical system, which is why I'm even reevaluating the concept of God and looking at this higher, this outside being that's going to save me or to, fix me, and realizing, wait a minute, this energy exists within me. I'm just projecting it outside of me. I'm a co-collaborative creator with this reality, this experience. And so, that which we call God may not be that. And I'm just inviting in a deeper exploration of what we've been, again, because if everything is falling apart, our banking system, our healthcare system, our education system, our religious systems, then everything is up for grab. Everything is up to be reevaluated. I call it, we're in demolition, right? As post 9/11, we're in the demolition and watching the debris all around us of these programs and systems we set up for humanity that was supposed to help humanity. And now we're seeing has actually created crimes against humanity. So this is a very pivotal time. It's a very serious conversation time, Saturn. It's a time to mature and to really allow ourselves to go, okay, I know right now that I am responsible for creating my reality. What have I allowed to be created around me right now? These are the questions I'm asking myself anyway. I'm just sharing my process, right? I'm not here to teach anything. I'm not here to reveal anything. I'm here to express and to hopefully activate and help you remember what you already know. We already hold these codes within our own DNA. That's my understanding anyway, and my gnosis, not my belief. I've actually transcended belief with that. I just know that our ancestors live in our DNA, and they get activated when the sun gets in certain parts of our solar system, whatever that may be. So our sun has been transiting, moving through, you think of transit, like a transit system. So we use transits in astrology. The moon and the sun have been transiting through these pivotal points in space-time that's activating these codes within our cells, our DNA, that's creating a whole new infrastructure, a whole new architecture within our minds, Aries, our head, how we're perceiving things, Mercury, and Pisces. So yeah, there's a big a war for your attention right now. There is a war for our attention right now. And remember, our attention, our focus is what creates reality. That's how powerful we are. But we've never been taught that. We've never been shown that. We've never... Anyway, if you're willing to look at yourself and humanity and one another in a different light, you might start seeing things in a very different way. And some of us, it will shell shock us, But imagine our ancestors back in the day, if you follow the stories, that when fire was created, first time fire was seen, that had to have been a shell shock. Or imagine if you time travel and you take a cell phone back to the Stone Ages, whatever that was, even if there was indeed a Stone Age. Again, I'm up for everything for grab because we don't know. We don't know. You look at these architectures like Tartaria and some of these buildings. If you guys travel quite a bit, you see that you're like, wait a minute. These buildings were supposed to have been built by brick and stone and mortar and carried on carts by horses. What? It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. It's like we all been coming out of this weird daze and confused energy, and it's just a weird space. So yeah, this eclipse is saying, look, stuff's leaving anyway. There's stuff leaving. And so your responsibility is to focus on what you want to bring in, because the universe doesn't like a vacuum. It doesn't like a void. So what are you bringing in? And first of all, start off with the highest and most balanced, harmonious dream for yourself, because only when you do it for yourself can you do it for the collective, right? It's an inside out job. It's the transformation happens as within, and then it projects as without. You become the highest, most balanced version of you because you treated yourself with the ultimate respect and love and nourishment as you would your own child. This is very much Jupiter in Cancer, right? When we have this going on until June, July of this year, and then it's going to ingress into Leo. So yeah, it's asking us right now to step up into our responsibility to dream a better dream of reality, to dream a higher expression of reality. We've already created hell on earth. Like I said, look at the Epstein files. We've already manifested all of our nightmares. through these beings, whatever these beings are that are have the capacity to be able to do this to humanity, right? So our to me, what I'm saying is our attention is just to not give them any more attention, and it basically starves them. It's like they wither up and die. If you guys are farmers and you understand, if you don't water your plants and roses and garden, it withers up and dies. And so our focus is being commandeered right now to just keep with the same old, because remember, these guys are in power, understand how frequency and energy works. They've been playing with this the whole time. They have technologies that have been able to see the cymatic pattern, see these upcoming currents, and then try to capitalize on it. Okay, that's what I've seen. So now that's what humanity is like. We're waking up to, wait a minute, we can capitalize on these energies too, and we don't need actual physical technology outside of us, like AI or any automated anything, because all of those automated things were created based on what we do naturally, right? They created cameras because they studied our eyeballs. They created audio equipment because they know how our ears work, right? As above, so below. They take the mechanics of the human body and then they just replicate it and try to sell it back to you. And you already know how to do all this. That's the jig. It's like the jig is up. You're selling me information and technology I already have within. What a joke. But we've been so dumbed down, unfortunately, because we've been systematically poisoned through injections and certain things. I don't even know if I'm able to talk about this stuff here. Hopefully I am. But from the very beginning, and on a soul level, we agreed to it. On some aspect of ourself agreed to this for whatever reason. I know my soul did. I'm still trying to figure out why. I don't have the answers. That's still my deep dive with self, right? As I'm in this Pisces season. Why did I agree to this? Why did I allow my consciousness to be captured in a way that creates this type of consciousness? And then I go into the parasites, right? And so I talk to my parasites. I'm like, all right, everybody, I no longer agree or consent anywhere that I consented or agreed to have this parasitic energy within or without me. I just clear that contract. I cut it up. I'm willing to let it go. Because exactly, consent, you get into the whole signature aspect and signing, right? In cursive, right? You're cursing yourself. And even in the color of pen you write this thing on. I mean, this stuff gets deep down the rabbit hole if you allow yourself to go to it. And if you do go down these rabbit holes, again, that's why I've been sharing a lot of Jordan Maxwell stuff. Make sure not to stay in those rabbit holes. Like, get in and get out. Get the information you need to get in, get for awareness, pull out, alchemize, right? Compost it, turn it into something else. I always imagine it like a beautiful golden light, giving it back to source energy, to mother energy for her healing, to Mama Gaia for her healing. I'm like, take all this dark goo, black matter crap out of me through the nanotech or whatever the hell they've been spraying all over us. Because I'm a Scorpio, right? Or I have a lot of Scorpionic energy as well as Sagittarius energy. So I'm called to alchemize it. And I can do it through my imagination station. Shit, it's that easy. We are that powerful. Our imagination is that powerful. We just imagine this black goo wherever it's lingering. To me, I see it in parts of my brain. Actually, I saw it the other night in meditation. I was doing this, what I call like the golden light scan. I sometimes start at the bottom of my feet and I scan my body all the way up with this golden light and I see if there's any imbalances anywhere. And when I got to my head, there was this big chunk, it almost looked like a triangle that was out of my head. Like, it was like everything was gold except for this black part and it was coming out of my left side of my brain. I'm like, what is this, right? I'm just imagining it because I'm doing this, my practice, right? Practicing doing these things. And then I realized, the Wi-Fi router was to the left of me. And then I saw what they showed me was the sign for Apple, like taking the bite out of the apple. And I'm like, so technology, we're the battery for some of these tech things. And I noticed too, sometimes when I'm using my computer, it says, do we have permission to access your network, your local network to use this? And then I realized, wait, am I giving them permission to access my own fucking physical body battery energy form? Wait a minute. What am I consenting to? So now I'm cognizant when that little thing comes up, because it still comes up, right? It wants to connect to my local network. I say out loud, yes, but you are not allowed to connect to my person, to my personal person, right? You can connect to other networks around me that are synthetic, but not to my personal person. So I just call that in. Yes, Luge, absolutely. So I'm just aware of it now. Now, because I've been doing the deep dive with it, it's like, oh, motherfuckers, game on. Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay. That's how my battle mode gets. I've got Aries 5th house, right? I try to have fun with this shit because otherwise it gets too dense. It gets too heavy. And I'm trying to lighten the load within myself. I've been dealing with a lot of density pretty much my whole life, and I'm just ready to flip that switch. But it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of purposeful alchemy, truly, and intention. And so that's what I'm just asking you guys. If you're here, first of all, thank you for spending your most valuable resource with me, which is your time, to be here connected to this type of information, because I value time more than anything. And I try not to waste your time. I really just try to get on here when I'm inspired and when I'm really being uploaded. What I feel is important content that whoever this is supposed to reach. You get empowered by it. You grow by it. You remember who you are by it. Again, I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm just here to express and hopefully create a chemical reaction within you. So yeah, game on, right? It's just like, that's how I see it. Let's see. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to survive ATM. I have a virus that's dropping my calcium. So yeah, you know what? Again, I'm not a medical practitioner by any means, but because we are so powerful, what I've done when I've had viruses and stuff, I've gone and I've imagined myself just taking that golden light and dissolving them. Whatever's at dis-ease in my body, because the virus is supposed to speaking to you where you're actually out of balance, where you're at dis-ease, right? There's probably a disharmony happening in your body. It's a frequency thing. And sometimes it can be as simple as shifting your frequency by changing what you imbibe with. So shifting the alchemy that you ingest, using maybe different supplements, things you're called to do. I like to go to natural herbs, essential oils, even crystals. Everything's energy. And so these hold specific frequencies that pharmaceutical can just not hold. That's more organic for us to imbibe with. So yeah, and now also too, I like to muscle test, because if I have an imbalance in my body, and I just ask my body, I'm like, body, what do you need? What do you need to get back into harmony? What do you need to get back into homeostasis? And then all of a sudden, I'll go about my day, and then I'll see like an herb that pops up 3 different times, or I'll hear something, or I'm like, okay, that's the confirmation, right? So funny thing is, the blood tests show I have high calcium. Well, if you're taking calcium, which is interesting, calcium can actually create like bone spurs and stuff because the body doesn't need as much calcium as we've been told. Again, everything that we've been told, even as far as health, is on the table to be reevaluated, including these recommendations of what, physicians are trying to tell us what happens to the body and what is beneficial or it's not, based on what they're trying to sell us. Right. So I like to go back to the basics. For me as a woman, having 52 cycles around the sun, I don't say I'm 52, but I say I've cycled around the sun 52 because I know I'm timeless and eternal. However, one of the things that, I'm aware of is they say, watch osteoporosis for women because your bones start deteriorating. Well, then upon looking at it, now mind you, I have an almost 19-year-old dog, Tanner, who's been around 19, and he still walks around. He still has a beautiful coat of fur. Why? Because I give him diatomaceous earth every day, which is high in silica, which is good for the bones. And to me, the bones is crystals, right? So just do your own deep dive with silica and diatomaceous earth and what that does for the body. Make sure it's food grade if you are going to use it. Again, I am not a medical practitioner. These are just things that I have practiced. And calcium is bone, it's structure. So again, you might want to look to see, astrologically, I would go to see where Saturn is and if Saturn's making any hard aspects in your chart, because Saturn rules bones and structure. And so, yeah, there's correspondences. I believe the parathyroid, I believe that's Taurus. So you might want to look to that too. If this is also how I practice astrology too, medical astrology, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, because there's correspondences with the body in these energies. As above, so below. And sometimes I like to, and this is kind of out there, but we're out there. This is metaphysical astrology, so I'm going to go there. Sometimes I just sit in meditation, and because I understand I'm in a plasmic field and everything exists in this plasmic field around me, I act like a vacuum cleaner. I said, I just want to pull everything towards me that would nourish and protect and harmonize my body now, even if I don't know what that is. Even if I don't understand the systems and how they fully operate within my body, I ask that the plasma field around me pull in the exact nutrients, minerals, everything that will nourish, harmonize, and bring my body back into homeostasis now, now, now. I don't ask, I don't pray, I command, because I understand how this thing works now. And the universe likes a strong commanding, because it's think about vibration, right? The vibration comes out fluidly and like a mandala. It comes in clear in a precise architecture, which is in our bloods, which is in our bones, which is in our cellular structure. And so when you have a precise architecture, you're now imbibing with a specific frequency, and that frequency can dissolve or dilute anything that is not of that same vibrational frequency. And therefore, you'll bring your body back to homeostasis, commanding it through your voice, which is a form of alchemy. This is deep, and this is not something that I normally talk about. I guess it wants to come through today. But this is stuff that I practice, and I don't necessarily know how to talk about it because I'm still working through it. I'm still integrating all this stuff myself. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that you guys are reflecting on the body. And that makes sense because, again, this is in Virgo, right? This full moon eclipse is in Virgo, which has to do with health. All things health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, and financial health, right? Because I have downloaded or uploaded my guides tell me that there's what are called, if you want to be a happy, healthy human on this earth, you need 5 pillars of wellness. Because I like to also follow Venus and the Venus star point. And the 5 pillars of wellness are, if you are in homeostasis and balance with your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and financial health, then you're basically a well-rounded, healthy, happy human being. It's just very basic, right? And those basics that make humans happy and healthy, we can see now through what's going on with the systems all around us, have been debased. They have been corroded. This particular parasite has been invited into our systems, right? And so we're starting to see that. So that's why my first instinct is to go to like a parasite cleanse, right? Just starting from the basics, like, okay, I need to rid the body. Because why are most people in the United States, why are we so unhealthy? And every other world does parasite cleanses. And you guys are multinational here. You're all over the place. Is that the truth? Because that's what I heard, and it makes sense. Why are we so sick in this country? Because we don't do parasite cleanses. And everybody else around us knows to do that. You see? So it's just like, it's so crazy, this reality. But it's an experiment, and we chose to do it, right? I chose to do it. I can't speak for everybody. I'm just speaking on first person here, my own particular awareness of what I feel is going on here. And so, yeah, again, this message is not going to be for everybody. This is a clarion call for those fellow builders and co-creators out there who understand, or who are starting to understand, how deeply powerful you are. And this is not ego speaking this. It's just a matter of physics. And so I would invite you to just keep on being, be conscious, please, of what you're focused on. Yes, I've seen the first Matrix, and yes, it was one of my awakening films. I only watch movies now with my third eye on. I call it conscious movie watching, anything, because I understand the power of my attention and what I'm giving attention to. So what I'm looking for is, when I conscious movie watch, I'm looking for the messages and the symbols and dissecting them in a way that can benefit humanity and benefit myself, and not catapult or capture my energy in a way that it's trying to be, because I'm just unaware, right? So I'm looking at the symbolisms and a lot of these stories that are being told, and the hidden truths, because they have to tell you. Again, they're asking for our consent, but they have to show us. So it's like, what are you showing me right now? It's the question I ask, and I get, very present with whatever I'm watching, whatever I'm consuming. Honestly, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm thinking, it's just been it's like a walking meditation at this point. But makes the movie more fun. It does, because then if you know you're Neo, which is funny, because if you switch up the name Neo. It's one. So he's the one, right? Neo is the one. Yes, they put a parasite into his stomach. Exactly. They're telling you. It's in plain sight. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Excuse me. And so it's a process. Honestly, one of the things I'm playing with right now, which I've noticed tremendous benefits. And again, I'm not a medical practitioner. This is not medical advice. This is just something that I have been playing with my own health. So I've been taking hydrogen peroxide, 35%. I don't know if you've heard of the 1 minute cure, but I can tell you right now, I've been on it for a little over 3 weeks, and I slowly titrated, so incrementally increased the amount of hydrogen peroxide I was taking. You can do it up to 23 drops per 30 days. And I made it up to 15 drops because then it started tasting too much like bleach. But I had this cyst on the back of like my shoulder blade, and it had been growing for years, and it wasn't too bad. I was keeping an eye on it, but it's completely gone. It's completely gone since taking this hydrogen peroxide, 35%. So you have to dilute it. You have to make sure it's purified water. Distilled water is better. But yeah, that might be something to contemplate, and just know that that's what's been working for me. Because I think about hydrogen peroxide. I watch, what it does to things outside when it's such a cleaner and a cleanser, and it removes stuff. And yeah, that's why, grounding. That's why I sleep on a grounding mat. And as a matter of fact, as I'm talking to you guys right now, my feet are, I sleep on a grounding sheet and my feet are on a grounding mat. So that's another thing that has really been beneficial is grounding, because where I'm at in the northern hemisphere right now, it's cold outside, and sometimes I like to put my bare feet on the earth, but it's uncomfortable sometimes, and I can't do it because there's snow in the ground, and I'm not a Wim Hof person. I do cold therapy when I can, but not for the most part. So when I ground in nature, my eyes work normally. When I'm in the city, they don't. Yeah. And man, there's just so much to this. We can go all day with just some of the technologies that we don't know about that's living currently inside of our bodies, that have been purposely inducted into our bodies, either through injections or the stuff that they spray or the food that we eat. I mean, it's just everywhere, right? But we're still here. And that's the thing. Like, humans are so strong about how we adapt. Man, our cells can morph and change and do all kinds of cool superhuman stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to encourage anybody that, again, this comes to, that, your consciousness is so important, and your focus, what you focus on, really does matter. Literally becomes material form, matter into matter, the mother. We are birthing new realities all the time. So between this potent window between March 3rd and March 20th, the vernal equinox, I would just humbly invite you to just focus on the best dream for yourself. What do you really want to do? What do you really want to experience? And don't go small. Go big. Go big. Even if it seems out of reach or like it's not possible. This is Pisces season, man. Everything is possible. That's the thing. Everything is possible. But you got to believe it. You got to believe that this universe, that our natural state, that the source energy who loves us unconditionally, that is all love, wants nothing but the best for you. Because I'm a mother, and I'm like, I only want the best for my child. And this creator, whoever it may be, masculine, feminine, both, right? Androgynous, whoever it may be, we need both, wants the best for us. But we also have free will in this reality. So, it's time for us to slowly awaken to the fact that we are more powerful than we've ever been given credit for, and to take our power back. Command in your reality. There's no more praying or asking anymore. As the king, look at the word, as king. As king, command in your reality. So, okay. Anyway, I feel like I'm going to wrap up. I feel complete in this transmission. I'm going to finish my coffee and probably enjoy some more tobacco and herbs. I've actually put in some blue lotus with the herbs, with some mullein, some passion flower. What else? Some Dhammayana for female support. Gonna probably do some yin yoga because yin, it's Pisces season, so you want to go in, so you do yin, right? Just slow stretches, nothing too harsh, because we're in retrograde, right? Every time we go into retrograde, it's about redoing. You go inward, where normally Mercury wants to have commerce and talk and outward expression and communicate. The retrograde is actually you're communicating, going inward with yourself, with your own personal divine essence. Working out is amazing for this type of energy as well, because it helps you channel all this dissonant energy into a very productive, meaningful expression for your body. And it's nurturing, it's building muscle. We need resistance, resistance if you don't have resistance, you don't build muscles. And actually the way the mechanics work, from my understanding, is you have to tear the muscle, right? Tear the fields in order to rebuild them. And that's what's happening. This eclipse is tearing the fields, pulling out old stuff from our blood, DNA, ancestral patterns, and it's making space for a whole new reality. But we don't want to recreate the realities that have been propagated as before. It's our responsibility to create a new reality. So focus on a benevolent future, please, for humanity, whatever that means. And even if you don't know what to imagine, just say benevolent. The most harmonious, balanced, vibrationally coherent timeline for humanity, whatever that looks like. If you can't imagine it, just call it in, command it in, use some words. It's the language, right? So using proper language, using the language that helps humanity, that's where I'm at. So, okay, family, thank you so much, everybody who's here, who just kind of passed on through, who are like fish streaming in the ocean. They kind of caught this wave because we are in Pisces season. So I really appreciate, again, your most valuable resource, which is your time. And I will be back when I'm inspired to do so, but definitely on Wednesdays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be like my anchoring point when I can come in and actually do some purposeful channeling, some purposeful content that hopefully helps humanity stay empowered, realizing that we have the power within us, we always have. And so it's just, having a community where we can express these things that maybe we were never able to express until now. So that's the intention. That's the goal. That's where my heart is at in these shares. So thank you again so much. And thank you, Native Kov, for being here in this conversation specifically. I appreciate your energy and your participation and just your vulnerability and sharing where you're at. And I hope some of this conversation helps you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just learning to do this. I'm just having bravery coming out here, and it's like a little turtle, right? Coming out of her shell. Well, death is not what you think. Anyway, death is just like you wake up and you go into a new reality, from my understanding. So yeah, it's another falsity too. We're here to be fearful of death, and death is just a rite of passage, is an initiation to the next realm of existence where we can hold on to our consciousness and we won't forget who we are. It's this whole practice. Anyway, yeah, we're always protected. Yeah, if you're here, it's funny. Years ago, I heard my guide say, I was talking to Mother Earth. I was out in nature, and she's like, you're my general. You're one of my generals. And I thought, I'm a general for Mama Gaia? That's quite a responsibility. But then as I get more and more into it, I realize, oh gosh, I'm a general for Mama Gaia. Oh shit. Okay. Well, how strong am I? What am I here? Who am I really? What is this avatar really about, man? So anyway, just wanted to share that as well. That just kind of came through. So, all right. Nativ Cove. Is that saying that right? Nativ Cove. Am I saying? Thank you again for being here. And thank you everybody for, is there somebody else that's here? I saw there's 2 other viewers here, but okay. I'll see you on the next round of metaphysical astrology. And I'll speak to you later. All right. Be well, family. So much love. Bye.